the bottom right-hand corner of Tasmania lies the Tasman Peninsula. The Peninsular Footy Association is a totally self-governing body which has created its own culture and its own rules. No one gets paid. Players, coaches, administrators or umpires. And, according to the power brokers of the association, since the admission of Eaglehawk Neck, no new club's going to be let in. We called in at Eaglehawk Neck to find out exactly how this club managed to elbow its way into such an exclusive association.
The Cooter Football Club from Eaglehawk Neck is the most recent addition to the Peninsular League. Legend has it the club was formed just behind me at the bar of the Louvre Hotel over a couple of beers in 1989. Inside tonight are the Cunninghams, and they're the power brokers of the club. Peter is the president, his wife Julie is the treasurer, and their son Matty is the coach of the club.
There's always been rivalry between Nubeena and the Neck. I don't think they wanted us in the association to start with.
Does the politics of the club come home much?
Yeah, all the time actually.
It can get quite ugly.
No, not ugly between. It's just game plans. Phil Wicks, the assistant coach, is often up home when Matty's moved out, but only sort of short time ago. And it's there all the time, and we all take an interest in it.
And I believe on June the 9th you're in the squad, the ladies' squad, to play the Bomberettes. Is that right?
Yes, apparently so. I'm on the bench, and I hope I stay on the bench.
How do you think Julie goes as a footballer, Peter?
I haven't seen her today, because up until today she's always squirmed away out of it and done the organising and let somebody else do the dirty work.
All games in the Peninsula are played either here at Nubeena or at Port Arthur, so Eaglehawk Neck don't even have their own home ground. Although they train at Denali and coach Matty Cunningham wishes they could play their games there, the power brokers of the association say they can't, because the Denali Oval exists on the wrong side of the bridge, which separates the Tasman and Forestier peninsulas from the rest of the world.
Probably the thing that hurts us most is not having a home ground at all on the weekends, and just somewhere where we can get a lot of our supporters to the home ground and maybe just something different for the competition and just to get a bit of local support. So yeah, that makes it a little bit hard.
Would it be good to play some games at the Denali Oval?
It would be good to play just at least one or two, just to get some different people involved in the game down here, and to, just something different for the players as well, because it's only a 2-ground competition and it does get a bit stale and things do get a bit boring. So an extra ground would just be, it'd open it up that much more. It'd be great.
The line from the Peninsula is just this side of the Denali Bridge, so the association won't allow us to play a game on the northern side of Denali Bridge, unfortunately, but we'd love to do it someday.
Tell us about the Guernseys. What Guernseys did you get and how did that affect the name of the club?
The only Guernseys that were available at the time were Carlton ones. We apparently back in 1934 we were black and white up here, and that's the last record they've got of Eaglehawk Neck Football Club. But we tried for black and white and we tried for other colours like the Eagles and the Hawks and all that sort of thing.
The Carlton Guernsey was the last possible choice?
It was the only one available, yeah. And if we was going to have a Guernsey, we had to go with a Carlton one. So the brains trust got together and thought, well, we catch a lot of Cooter out of Eaglehawk Neck, CFC, Couta Football Club, so with the Eaglehawk Neck Cooters.
You had to come up with a name starting with C because of CFC on the Guernsey, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
This number 19 is a bit of a gun for the Cooters, a bit of pace and not much hair.
In the first of 2 games at Nubeena on Saturday, Matty Cunningham was making his parents very proud, leading the Cooters as they ran all over Port Arthur. They were younger, they were fitter and had better use of the footy. After half-time, the Port came out and applied more physical pressure and had a red-hard dip, and with some sharp shooting put a bit of respectability on the scoreboard. But it wasn't enough to stop the Cooters running out fairly comfortable winners, 28-17, 185, to the Port 4-3-27.
Tell us, Tony, about football being first played in the Peninsula around 1900.
Yeah, well, the earliest records that are available is that the competition kicked off sort of around about 1904, I believe. Nubeena came into the competition about 1914 and actually won a premiership that year. But the competition was made up of mainly small groups of guys that were down here woodcutting. There were teams from Tunnel Bay, Wedge Bay, Fortescue Bay, Carnarvon, and a lot of little hamlets around the place. It was quite a big competition. And in the early years, Carnarvon was one of the major forces in footy down here. Nubeena has been there for quite a while, as you're aware, from sort of 1904. We've won 25 premierships between then and now. We won 22 in the old Tasman Association, and we've won 7 in the current competition. We left the Tasman Association in 1984 due to financial problems. We just couldn't financially compete against the sides that were playing from town, who had a better supporter base, a better fundraising base than what we did down here. We basically went broke. And a few guys down here tried with a couple of other sides. The Tasman Football Club, they again couldn't compete financially. I believe Port Arthur were in there for, I think, 1 or 2 years, and that was the same problem for them. But in 1988, a group of ex-players from the Tasman Association, it was guys like Peter Williams, Greg Skeggs, Randall Lineman, to name a couple of them, they sat down and they formed the current Peninsular Football Association. And that was created to put football back onto the Tasman Peninsula and to make it a game that anybody down here could play with no cost involved. And today that still carries on. No player is allowed to be paid, although you do hear little stories about individuals receiving a few dollars under the counter sort of thing. But on the whole, it is done for the love of footy. The umpires do it for nothing. The committee that run the association, it is all done voluntary, the whole lot.
A day of footy at the Peninsula begins with under-9s and under-16s Auskick. A great thing about the Auskick program is boys and girls can play their footy together. Tell us first, girls, are the boys allowed to tackle you?
Yes.
Are they rough?
Yep.
And what about when you tackle them? Are you rough back?
Yeah.
Yeah? And what do you like most about playing footy?
It's fun.
Yeah?
Get your name in the paper.
Get your name in the paper?
Yeah. Heaps of things like that.
Yeah? Danita, you were telling me about some of the things you learned. What did you learn about how to mark the ball?
Well, you put your hands up in a W, like put your thumb there and put your thumb over there, and when you go to catch it, you got to keep your hands in a shape like a football to go to catch it.
Another example of the great opportunities Auskick provides is the participation of Tony Witt's grandson, Nicholas. Tell us about Nicholas's condition.
He's got oto-palatal digital syndrome, and he's also profoundly deaf. The syndrome he's got is multiple dislocation of most joints. Has great trouble walking. Can't walk very far. But he's absolutely wrapped in footy, mate. He loves it, absolutely loves it.
I notice he's got a little chair that he sets up next to the ground.
Yeah, next to the boundary line, mate. Once he gets a bit tired, he comes off and sits in the chair and just watches the kids. Next minute he's up and out again.
Nubeena is a fishing village, so it's hardly surprising that the largest crayfish I'd ever seen rocked up to watch the second game. He had a little bit too much to drink and enjoyed the attention from the ladies at the club, then decided to donate himself to the raffle to raise money for the football team. This made me very hungry, so I headed down to the canteen to see what they had on offer. Jill poured me a very nice cup of pumpkin soup, and I saw some of the largest saveloys I'd seen in my entire life. In fact, I still dream about them to this very day. But the speciality at Nubeena is something else indeed, the hot lamb roast roll with gravy. I believe you have another specialty here at the Nubeena canteen. Tell us about that.
Our hot roast rolls, roast beef, seasoned roast lamb in gravy, cooked on the Friday night by our president, Tony Watts, and they really go off like hotcakes.
They go off like hotcakes.
They
very,
do.
very popular here.
Yeah.
Well, we might have a go at one of these hot lamb rolls, if that's all right, Jill.
Okay,
and they've got gravy on them, I believe, as well.
Yes, gravy, yes.
Okay. A hot lamb roll at the Nubeena canteen with gravy.
Yeah. He's got his use as our president. He really has.
Very tender. I'll give that 7.9 out of 10.
Close to a split sab.
Close to a split sab. There certainly were a few split ones in the pot, and we did have a couple of them. But in the game of the round, Primadina was taking on favourites Nubeena, who led in the scoreboard pretty much all day. But Primadina did stay pretty close to them. In fact, in the third quarter, they got within a couple of goals. But tempers flared, particularly with Primadina personality Gunja, who got so fired up he proved himself to be as mad as a cut snake. In the end, the difference between the two sides was Nubeena full forward, the Tony Lockett of Tasmanian country football, Jason Broughton, who kicked 5 goals 5 for the day and added to his career tally of 1,200 goals. After the game, it was into the change rooms for the Nubeena club song,
and then into the club rooms and the chance to meet Nubeena legend and former masseur Bill Burns. You were involved in massage here for the footballers when you first came?
Yes, I was a massage here for about 3 years, and I loved that too. I used to give them a good old rub up. I used to, the Sheilas and that, they used to play, the women used to play here, see? And I said, well, I do the massage, and I said, I'll have to do the massaging today. No, why course you're not.
It was a very full day at Nubeena, and I came away from the day feeling certain that all the volunteers who work so hard to keep this association alive do so to ensure a future in football for their kids.
I was down at the jetty when she first caught my eye. Too much freeboard, she's riding